They say the year 1756 was when the sickness came to Blackmoor Village. But what the parish records don't tell you is what the plague doctor found in that abandoned manor house, what he saw through the lenses of his beaked mask, and why 3 days later he locked himself in the old chapel and refused to come out. This is his confession, found carved into the wooden pews with a surgical blade. Welcome to the GRIMLIGHT Diaries. Dr. Elias Crane arrived in Blackmoor on a November evening when fog rolled thick as wool across the moors. He wore the traditional garb of his profession, the long waxed coat, leather gloves, and that distinctive bird-like mask filled with herbs and camphor to ward off miasmic vapors. The villagers had sent 3 desperate letters to London. 27 souls had perished in a fortnight. Boils, fever, blood seeping from eyes and ears. But when Dr. Crane examined the bodies in the village square, something troubled him deeply. The symptoms were wrong, all wrong. These weren't plague victims. The blackened flesh formed patterns, symbols, and every single corpse had their mouths frozen open in a scream. Yet their vocal cords showed no signs of use. They had died in silent agony. The village elder, a trembling man named Thomas Ashworth, led Dr. Crane through the muddy streets. "It started at Thornfield Manor," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. Lord Pemberton returned from his travels to the continent, brought back strange artifacts, ancient things from the Ottoman Empire, he said, boasted about them at the tavern. And then the screaming started. But silent screaming, Doctor. We could see their mouths open, their faces twisted in horror, but no sound came out, like watching a terrible pantomime. Dr. Crane's gloved hands tightened around his physician's bag. "Show me the manor." Thornfield Manor stood 3 miles from the village, swallowed by overgrown gardens and creeping ivy. The front door hung open, moving slightly in the wind with a rhythmic creak. Thomas Ashworth refused to go further. "Take this," the elder said, pressing a brass key into the doctor's hand. For the cellar door. Inside, the house was perfectly preserved. Candles sat in their holders, wax melted and hardened mid-drip. A tea service waited on the parlor table, the liquid inside now thick with mold. But no bodies. Dr. Crane searched room after room, his beaked mask casting strange shadows in the dim light filtering through dirty windows, until he found the cellar door. Before we descend into that cellar with Dr. Crane, if you're enjoying this journey into historical horror, make sure to subscribe to GRIMLIGHT Diaries. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our weekly tales of terror from the shadows of the past. Trust me, you'll want to be here for what we uncover next week. Now let's see what waited in the darkness below Thornfield Manor. The cellar was lined with shelves holding Lord Pemberton's collection. Ancient pottery, weathered manuscript, jewelry that gleamed dully in the light of Dr. Crane's lantern. But at the center of the room stood a wooden frame, like a large wardrobe, covered in intricate carvings, and inside that frame hung a mirror. No, not a mirror. The surface was too dark, too liquid. It moved like oil, rippling despite the still air of the cellar, something that made his skin prickle beneath his protective clothing. In the reflection, he saw himself, but the image was wrong. The beaked mask was cracked. His gartercoat was torn and soaked with blood. And behind his reflected self, dozens of figures stood in the darkness, their mouths open in endless silent screams. The doctor's own notes found later describe what happened next. I heard my own voice calling to me from within that liquid darkness. It spoke secrets I had never told anyone, sins I had committed in my youth. It knew my sister's name, my sister who died when we were children, whose death was my fault. The voice promised me absolution. Promised me I could step through and take back my mistakes, make everything right. He found Lord Pemberton behind the mirror frame, or what remained of him. The man had somehow folded himself through the narrow gap between the frame and the wall, his bones shattered, his body contorted impossibly. His eyes were gone. In their sockets, that same black oily substance slowly dripped down his face, and on the wall behind him, scratched in dried blood, were the words, "They whisper your name. They know what you did." Dr. Crane ran, up the stairs, through the manor, into the night, but the whispers followed him. He could hear them under his own breathing, beneath the sound of his footsteps, dozens of voices calling his name, listing his secrets, promising him peace if he would only look back, only return to the mirror. By the time he reached the village, he was screaming. But like the others before him, no sound emerged from his throat. They found him 3 days later in the old chapel, having carved his confession into the wood. The final words read, "Do not seek the mirror. It shows you what you truly are. And once you see that truth, the silence claims you forever." The villagers burned Thornfield Manor to the ground, but sometimes travelers still report seeing a thin column of black smoke rising from those ruins. And if you listen carefully in the wind, they say you can hear screaming, silent screaming. This has been Grimlight Diaries. Until next week, keep your candles burning.